So he wants to know how you read the Bach. What do you say the Bach is saying?
That you should go to the mikveh before Yom Tov.
No, but the whole Tumah Tahar, that the reason is for Tumah.
I don't know if the reason is for Tumah. It's just saying that you mechuyev to be matar yourself before Yom Tov. So Mamela, you do as much as you possibly can. No.
So he wants to know if that's the part of the pshat in the Pas Yisrael.
Oh, that's what has to do with the Pas Yisrael. Rabbi Sobolovsky on why you Torah has a great shir on why you gotta be machmer on Pas Yisrael. He explains the whole thing. He does it very, very nicely.
During a Shabbos or in general?
During Saras Yemei Tshuva.
Tiago, what's the Indian of going to the cemetery now? My wife wants to know.
What's the Indian of going during the Saras Yemei Tshuva?
Yeah.
Because you're not over on any Lashon Hara when you talk to them.
And you're supposed to go?
What? Yeah, people go, yeah.
Hold on. What do you mean you're not over on every Lashon Hara? If you tell them what the new spouse is doing, that's not Lashon Hara?
Parrots, stop it, parrots!
Yeah. No, yeah. No, the pshat is because you're going to daven that they should daven since they're closer to the Kisei HaKavod. So you're going to ask them to daven for you by the Kisei HaKavod.
Uh-huh. Okay.
That's the Indian. And also a reminder of death doesn't hurt anybody. All right?
I ain't going.
Well, you can't go.
That's right.
I mean, I guess if it's
parrots. Okay, I mean, Aaron, you could, if you want to tell Bracha, you tell that I don't go, and my parents are still dead, and my wife did go Monday with her sister, and her parents are still dead also. So.
Look at that. That's why everybody's getting along so well with each other.
Right? There's an Indian to go. I should go to my mother during Saras Yemei Tshuva.
We woke him up, Never. We woke him up.
Oh, we got tomorrow.
I'm not so sure your mother wants to see you, Naftali.
Ooh.
She just wants to see her son, just her sons that she likes. She wants them to.
You mean her son-in-law?
Yeah, I mean, there's an Indian to go. Some go Erev Rosh Hashanah, Erev Yom Kippur.
All right, some said Erev Yom Kippur is Indian to go.
Yeah, and I think the Mishna brings it in Erev Rosh Hashanah. No, I don't know if he brings it in Erev Yom Kippur, but Erev Rosh Hashanah.
Moshe was talking about Erev Yom Kippur.
I hear. All right. Anyways, okay. So we got an action-packed daf tonight. Let me tell you.
Tiago, don't you always tell people the biggest thing is just to learn? At the end of the day.
That's true. Listen, you have people that don't. The Gra is very anti going to Kvarim. Yes, Enechanami. There's nothing better than learning. 100%. Or Chesed.
Eating.
What?
That's true. That's not Stam in Indian. That's a
He cut down the shear. He cut down his shear.
Right, that's true. Right, that's why I think he brings it by Erev Rosh Hashanah, not Erev Yom Kippur. No. Anyways, okay, so we have the whole Hatzalah sugya. Somebody text Landau and tell him to get on.
Because the guy hasn't been on in a long time.
Yeah, he's got a...
I'll text him.
Text him. Tell him he's got to get on. I meant to text him today. But, okay, so let's see the Mishna again quickly. And then we'll, now Uri's here, so we can start. There you go. Okay, so.
Sorry, I had a meeting. I apologize.
That's no problem. So it's yesterday, basically the whole Techazim from yesterday is trying to, the whole Amud Aleph was trying to figure out, I posted today, I think I did post it today. Yeah, the making a mechitza out of people on Shabbos, is that also a mutter? That was pretty much the whole Amud Aleph and Amud Beis. L'maisa, the maskanas advarim is that you can make human mechitzas on Shabbos. Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, but of course the Mishnah Brewer says, "V'yesh la'adam l'mayet belimudai be'erev Yom Kippur kedei la'achal l'ishtais." Mishnah Brewer says.
Very good, right, there you go. So you're saying kol shekain kfarim?
Yeah, well. You can't use Swami too much on the cover, that's the zichur.
Right.
I'm
But
here.
maybe they're thinking you got to sue this havra, by the caver. It was always we always associate food with the kvarim. So maybe that's what they do.
Well, then we're getting into Feta Moshe territory, right?
Tiago, you got land
You
down
know
there.
that? You don't know that.
I see.
You don't know that?
I don't know where Aaron is.
Oh, what did I do?
So Yaakov,
I'm here. What's up?
it involves your father also.
So my father?
What?
What did he do now?
No, it involves Yaakov's father.
Oh, I thought you were calling me.
Reb Chanina went to a Levaya, Feta Moshe Spiegel. Then your father met him in Gottlieb's in the afternoon. So he said, Reb Chanina, he says, yeah, he says, Feta Moshe would have wanted it this way.
Right. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Seems like that is the hanhag.
And the good news is that the waiter Yitzchak is still there. I saw him this week. He's still there. He's not driving a motorcycle anymore, but he's still there.
There you go. Okay. Anyways, so Lando, you're on because it's hot solar night. Tonight is hot solar.
9 o'clock is a hard thing for me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, tonight is hot solar night, so you have
All
to.
right.
You have to be it.
I'm here.
Okay, good. But anyways, so then we said you can make a human mechitza on Shabbos, and as long as the people are not aware that they're being a mechitza. Yeah. Fine. So now the Mishnah, we did it last night, but let's just do it again. Misha Yatsa B'Rishus, somebody who went out with permission, right? So Rashi says he's saying the Eidos for the Chodesh, for the new moon, or to save people, Hatzalah people, whatever it is, right? So he went out of the techum. And they said to him, the mice was already done. He gets 2,000 amos in that direction, right? But if he's within the techum, it's as if he didn't go out. Now, the main point the main halacha l'maisa that comes out from this whole sugya, we'll wait till we see the Gemara, is the next line. Anybody that goes out to save somebody can go back to their place, right? That means that they're allowed to go back, seemingly be Mechal Shabbos, even to go back, not just to go on the call. They could even come back from the call. That's what the Mishna is saying, right? Okay, so we'll wait till we do the Gemara on it, and then we'll get back to the sugya, and because we have that top little toisus, that's also very important. So the sugya Gemara,
You mean before Ramosha's heter? You're saying?
Correct. Well, this is Ramosha's heter is based on the toisus right there on the top.
Yeah, but if it's written in the Tosfos, then what is that for Moshe have to say?
No, we're going to see because not everybody agrees. That's why. We have to see the sugya. Right?
Day 2.
That's right. So, Zokti Gemara. Mayim Haya. You can go to sleep for Naftali for another 5-10 minutes till we get back to it. Okay. Mayim Haya b'seichat tchum ki ilu lo yotze. So, what does the Gemara mean when if you are still in the tchum, meaning you went out on the emergency call, they tell you all taken care of. So if you're still in your tchum, it's as if you never left. And what's the chiddush? Of course, you're in your tchum, so go back home. So if he's within his tchum, it's as if he never left his house. So how does that answer? Pshita, of course, it's as if he never left his house. Go right back to your house. You're within 2,000 amas. So now the same no, you would think that since he uprooted himself on Shabbos, so he had it in his head that he's no longer going to be home for Shabbos. He's now going to be hanging out wherever this emergency call was. So you would think that becomes his new bias, and he gets 2,000 amas from there. Kamash Malan, that's not like that. He gets the original. He gets the original tchum from his house. This is what he says. Now this is interesting. Okay, basically what we're saying is that he went out of the tchum. He went out of his regular tchum from his house, right? And we said in the first part of the Mishnah that the Chachamim give you 2,000 amas, 2,000 new amas. So if those 2,000 new amas that you were part of overlap the original 2,000 amas from your city, then you're allowed to go back to your house. All right? A very interesting kula. Again, let's take a mashal. The guy went 3,500 amas away from 3,500 amos away from his house, right? And he didn't have an eruv techum. So he's 3,500. So he's 1,500 amos out of his techum. So we say he's allowed, we give him back 2,000 amos from where it is that the call ended. So that 2,000 amos will get him to within 1,500 amos of his original house. So since that overlaps by 500 amos, therefore he's allowed to go back to his house, even though it's more than 2,000 amos from where he is. Right? That's a fine kula. That's a fine kula that Rav Simi Bar Chia is saying. And that is the way we paskin. Right? So that's what the chiddush of the Mishna is. So so clearly there's two terutzim here. So the first teretz does not hold of this overlapping tchum kula, and the second teretz does. So what's the Machlokes? Marsav Rav lost tchum and milsi. Absorption of the tchum is something. Marsav Rav milsi, and the other one says it's nothing. Amalei. So now we have a Machlokes. Now we discuss it. Amalei Abai Rava. But like Tizra Rav lost tchum and milsi. You don't hold that absorption of a tchum is something. Uma ilu Shabbos b'ma'ara shebesoich arba'as alafim. Right? Let's say somebody's living inside a tunnel that's 4,000 amos wide. I guess maybe let's say the Midtown Tunnel. The guy's living in the Midtown Tunnel. Now the Midtown Tunnel is bigger on the bottom than it is on the top. Right? It's gonna be longer. Right? Because there's the exits. So that's what we're talking about here. You have a cave that's 4,000 amos wide. And then you can walk on top of the cave, you can walk on the bottom of the cave. Right? So what happens if a guy lived in the cave? So you get 4,000 amos of the cave. And then from there you have 2,000 amos, right? Because that's all considered your yard. Right? But on the roof of the cave, you have less than 4,000 amos. Can you not find that you're allowed to go outside of this cave or tunnel, whatever it is, 2,000 amos? Of course you can, right? Now, the bottom has to overlap with the top, and that's how that's going to work. Meaning, even if you're in the bottom, even if you lived in the bottom, but if you go up to the top in the middle of Shabbos, you don't get 2,000 amos from the top. You get to walk the 4,000 amos, the width of the cave, and then you get 2,000 amos. So clearly, how could that be? You were you're living in the cave, and then you're on top of the cave. So clearly, there's overlapping. There's overlapping tchumen, and it's allowed. So that's what he tied it to him. So do you not hold that there's a difference between in the cave? You were there and you were within the walls before Shabbos started, but here you didn't have. You had this new tchum developed on Shabbos. Why would you allow a new tchum that was created on Shabbos, meaning this new tchum, because he went on an emergency, was created on Shabbos? So why would that new tchum be able to overlap the old tchum? Yeah, so that's what he said back to him. And where he didn't, so he asks back to him, and where you didn't live there, you're not allowed to. Right? But now we learned in the Mishna, now we're on to Memhei Amud Aleph. Yeah, two amas, right? If you're within, we had this yesterday, but Rebbe Eliezer holds, and it's a Mishna Vaita, right? Rebbe Eliezer holds that two people can go into, not two people, two amas, right? If you go out of your tchum by two amas, right? You're spacing out and you're looking at the floor, and then you miss the sign that says this is the end of the tchum of the city, and you realize when you were two amas out, so Rebbe Eliezer says you're allowed to go back in. Gimel lo yikonis, but if you walk 3 amas out of your tchum, you're not allowed to go back in. Now, what are we saying? My love, Rebbe Eliezer l'tamei, is this not Rebbe Eliezer going according to his svara? The Amar v'hu be'emtzon v'arba amas t'yovel l'rabbanon command dami. Why don't we look at it like, why do you give him 2 amas? Because we know that anytime anybody's out of a tchum, he gets 4 amas, 2 amas in either direction, right? Which we'll see later about this. I don't know if we'll see it tonight, but we'll see in a couple of blocks, right? So the 4 amas that the Chachamim give him is the 4 amas that you get when you're out of the tchum is as if it's absorbed. Meaning, why these 2 amas work? Because the 2 amas that he went out go up to the border. Meaning, you have a border of 2,000 amas. He went out by 2 amas. The assumption is why 2 amas? Because a person on the edge of the tchum, gets 4 amas, 2 amas this way, 2 amas this way. So these 2 amas brings him right back to the edge, and we look at it as if it's absorbed, and that's why he's allowed to step back in, according to Rabbi Eliezer, if he went out by 2 amas.
So shouldn't it be less than 2 amas then?
Correct. That's why, very good. That's why it says kiman de mivlan. It says if. It's not mamish mivlan, but since it's one right up against the other, we look at it like it's absorbed. Right? They're very good order, right? But that's exactly what the Gemara is saying. It's kiman de mivlan dam, the kamer yikonis. And yet the Gemara says you can go in. Alma, so we see havlah of tchum and milsi. So we see that the havlah of tchum is something. Right? And you see that you can as long as 2 tchums overlap, so then it's something. Lamar, you're asking from Rabbi Eliezer? Who says we paskin like Rabbi Eliezer? Rabbi Eliezer says you get a 2 extra bonus amas. Who says we paskin like that? Maybe we paskin that the second you step out, you no longer can go back into your tchum.
Yaakov, just one question on this idea that Rabbi Eliezer somehow arises. Even according to Rabbi Eliezer, aren't those 4 or 2 amas, however you look at it, just part of the original? Like when he had these amas originally, that he had these 2,000 extra amas, he also has, wherever he walks, an extra 4 amas no matter where he is. So isn't there a difference between that and just saying we create a new 2,000 amas than what we're saying previously? What the Gemara said before was that we create this new idea that since we're giving you another 2,000 amas, we're going to connect it to. Rabbi Eliezer never. That's a new chiddush the Gemara has come along and saying before. That has nothing, and then they're connecting the 2,000 tchumim. Here, Rabbi Eliezer, whenever a person walks around, he has 4 amas, and therefore you could much more understand Rabbi Eliezer saying that you add those to the 2,000 amas that a person has, than saying let's create a new idea that since we're giving you another 2,000 amas, we'll connect to tchumim, and you could go back and forth between the two.
I hear. So what do you want us to understand? So what are you saying? That
what I'm saying is that when Rabbi Eliezer is giving these extra amas, it's because that always follows the person around, no matter where it is. So when we gave him the 2,000 amas, his 4 amas are connected to that. What does that have to do with this chiddush that since a person left the tchum?
No, because you see that the concept. You see that there is a concept of overlapping tchums. That's all. You're right.
That's true.
Right.
That's true, but we never see that. We never see this is special. It's not a special dispensation. The idea that a person has 4 amas is always true, whether there's another 2,000 amas of tchum or not.
Right. So here you're saying there is no. It's a different situation. I hear. I hear. It's a good point. Yeah. Okay. What do you call it? Why do you have to come on to say it that way? Who says maybe it's just one up against the next? But here. So maybe that's what the Gemara's intention is when it says, "Who says we pass on like Rabbi Eliezer?" But I don't know if that really would answer your question.
No, I'm saying even according to Rabbi, the Gemara should be saying even according to Rabbi Eliezer, from there it's not approved.
Right. I hear. Okay, very good. Let's see weiter. So. With Rabbi Eliezer, you're asking from Rabbi Eliezer, Amalei in the Shmiel Limine Temar.
I could be a wise guy and say maybe it doesn't have the extra 2 amas. Only the eruv that you started Shabbos with, that comes 2,000 plus 2. But any special things that Chacham let you have because you're an Hatzalah or you're a midwife or whatever it is, that's 2,000 amas, no more, no extras.
Right, so that's what we're gonna have to see weiter exactly what the story is with that.
But we always say 4 amas is true even if you lose your 2,000 amas. Nobody's going to disagree.
You
with
always
that.
get 4. Yes, that's it.
So you can't come along and uproot that.
Something that.
What are you saying?
Something that starts from fresh and Shabbos. Maybe it doesn't come with that.
Could be.
But that's not true. When you lose when you're out of the tchum, you still got 4 amas. Even if you start it fresh on Shabbos, you still get the 4 amas. Even if you lose your tchum, you get 4 amas.
Right. Well, yeah, but you always get 4. That's true.
You always get 4 because they didn't.
The other assumption is that you get 4 amas in both directions. Yeah. I hear. Okay, whatever. Let's see. So, anyway, I lost the place. I mean, the Rebbe Eliezer, you're asking from Rebbe Eliezer. So Amalei in the Shmiel Liminei Demar, he says, yes, I heard from Mar. Adkan lePli Rabbanon le Rebbe Eliezer. The Rabbanon only disagree with Rebbe Eliezer, who and don't say that you don't get 2 amas extra. El Ledvar Hashus. That's only if you went out for a voluntary thing. Aval Ledvar Mitzvah Maidulei. But if you go out for a Dvar Mitzvah, then they're Maida. Okay, if you went out for a Dvar Mitzvah, even the Rabbanon are Maida, that they're going to at least give you 2 amas. So therefore, everybody does hold of this concept. Okay, fine. Okay, now we start with the real sugya here. I know the real sugya. The last sugya is also real sugya, but the one that's very negay to the Hatzalah guys. Anybody that goes out to save could go back to their place. Vafilu tuva, right? Yeah. So the Gemara says, it's a question. Vafilu tuva. Does that mean you're allowed to go more than 2,000 amas? For Amrit ratio, Alfayim Amma Vasuloi. Again, if you look in the ratio in the Mishnah says that they tell you that the emergency is over, you get 2,000 amas. Then the last line in the Mishnah says that you get, you can go back to your place, to wherever it is, even if it's more than 2,000 amas. So Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav Shechayzim B'Kli Zayin L'Mekayman. Now it's talking about where they're allowed to carry their weapons with them, right? Now they don't need the weapons anymore. The war is over, or the fighting is over. They don't need their weapons. The Gemara is saying, no, you are allowed to carry your weapons back anyways. So the Gemara says, my kush, you do lahatzel shani. Right? What's the question? Maybe that's when you're going to save somebody is different than going out for the Levana. You go out for the Levana, you go out to help somebody out, whatever it is, that's one thing. But for emergency, to save people, why can't you get more? Right? So now the Gemara seems to agree with that. That's for emergencies, you'd be able to come all the way back. Eli kasha or kasha. You want to ask a kasha? This is the kasha. There's a Mishna in Rosh Hashanah. In the beginning, when all these Eidim, right? Anybody that saw a new moon immediately went up to Yerushalayim. Now they all went out of the techum, but that was necessary to make the new moon, right? So at the beginning, nobody left there because again they were stuck; they couldn't move because they were out of the techum. So it's going to Rabbi Gamliel Hazaken. Sheyesh lam afayim amal l'chol ruach. Rabbi Gamliel Hazaken was misaken that they get 2,000 amas every direction. Even a woman, midwife that comes to give birth. Not to give birth or to help somebody give birth, and somebody who comes to save from the what do you call it? How do you say it? The army, right? From Goyim or whatever it is. Women on a harem from a river, women on a pilot, and from a collapse, women on a lake, from a fire. They're like the city, people of the city. Right, so the Mishnah Rosh Hashanah clearly says that emergency workers only get 2,000 amas. But here we just said in our Mishnah that you can go, if they leave their city, they can go back home. Again, so we have a steer between our Mishnah and the Mishnah Rosh Hashanah. So Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Shechayzim B'Kli Zayin L'Mekayman. Yehuda Amar Rav says no, we allow them to bring back their how do you call it? The tools, whatever. Weapons. The weapons, thank you. In the beginning, when the war was over, they would leave their weapons in a house that's close to the wall. Then the problem was that the people that they had just fought realized that they're walking without their weapons. And they ran after them, and they went in and they took their weapons. And then the Oivim went after them. They ended up pushing each other. And they ended up killing each other more than the enemies would have killed. This is very similar to in Shabbos with the why you know wear sandals. Yeah, right. The nail on the shoes, Gemara, and that's why they made a takana. So because it is,
Why
so
are we
Bois-
Why are we comparing the army to the Hatzalah and the midwife? Why is it the army that we keep on comparing it to?
Well, what should you compare it to? What do you want to compare it to?
I don't know. I'm
Because
saying it might.
because we're going to see in a moment that well, that's a Charlie. He tilu sofan mishum tchilasan. We
Right.
want to.
Well,
and we
we're
don't
not
want
going to see that. The
discourage.
Gemara is not right.
We're
We'll
going to say
see
that
that, but
explicitly, but that becomes a sugya.
right. But because they're all emergency workers, no, David? Aren't they all emergency workers? What do
I
they
have
call them now?
I have a
I
halacha
get-
here with for Hatzalah guys, right? It says that you really could be mafker all the stuff you're taking with you, like let's say these weapons you're saying or whatever it is, and
Right.
there's no problem taking it out of the techum, no?
Yeah, but the bottom up. Yeah, that's true, but it's still haitzah. They're still carrying.
What about when you refill at the hospital?
Yeah, but you need it for the emergency. I'm talking on the way back to bring it back from.
Right, I understand that, but Lamaisa, there's also carrying that they're being mat.
Oh, you're saying on the
Right.
way? Yeah, but
Okay,
in
well,
emergency.
we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to the halacha Lamaisa in a minute. From then on, they made a takana that they can go home with their weapons. That's one teretz. Okay, so the one teretz is that they allowed the weapons because what? Because they were afraid. Now, according to that, it seems that only the army guys have this heter, not the emergency workers. Right? Chayra, no? Everybody hear that? They hear that ha'ara? I'm saying the army guys have that not a Hatzalah guy. Fine, okay, let's hold off on that. Then another teretz. One is talking about where the Yidden won the war. And here it's talking about where the Umas Ha'olam beat themselves. Now, that's a lashon that we don't like to use negative lashonis. The Klal Yisrael lost, so he said that they beat themselves. What it means is that the Yidden lost. Yeah? Fine. Okay, so from that Gemara, it seems like only soldiers, and that's it. Right? Not anybody coming back from seemingly from this Gemara. If you take it straight up, the Hatzalah guys, l'chayra, cannot carry home their stuff, and they can't come back out of the techum. That's what it seems, right? So now, if we turn back for a minute just to the Tosfos on the previous daf, right? Look back at the Tosfos, that Tosfos, kol hayotzin la'atzel chayzin l'mekayman. Yeah, you see it, the top Tosfos on Mem Dal and on the base. This is the Tosfos for Hatzalah guys, yeah? Hadalei chashuv lebe perakama debeitza. Now there's a few cases in Beya having nothing to do with saving anybody, where they mattered things that they mattered the saifon, but meaning if you're not going to allow the person to do it now, then you're not going to end up with the mitzvah at all. Right? What is it talking about? One of them is kisui adam. If you're not going to kisui adam, covering over the blood after you shecht an animal on Yom Tif, has nothing to do with food preparation, right? So it really shouldn't be mutter. But if people can't do it, so they may not shecht the animals. Right? I think that was the case. That's one of the cases, right? Whatever it is, so there's a list there of 3 things that they allowed to end because of the beginning. Yeah, so it says by those 3, the tiru samashim design a chiddush. Meaning, why didn't it mention this one also? Now, what's going on here? Who said anything about hitchilu, hitiru samashim tchilasan? What Tosfos means saifan mishum tchilasan is the famous thing. You ask any Hatzalah guy that the reason why you're allowed to come back from a call is because we're afraid that he's not going to go on the call in the first place if he gets stuck in the middle of the boondocks somewhere for the rest of Shabbos, right? Which Hatzalah guy is going to want to get out of bed Friday night if he knows he's stuck in the hospital in Manhattan for the rest of Shabbos?
So why?
Right?
I mean,
why are we not worried about Hasidim? Why don't they think that way?
What do you mean?
I thought didn't we say yesterday that they don't come back? They possibly they can't come back. They can go, but they can't come back. It's not going to cause them to be hesitant to go.
So good. Right. So we're going to get to it.
So why don't you ask the Williams or Hatzalah? What are you asking us for? What do we have to do with Williams or Hatzalah?
They have. First of all, they haven't. They often have a
actually aren't allowed to come back from calls. They actually have to call a guy.
Yeah,
Right.
don't
So
they? That's not just them. Lakewood
They
does
have
that
a
also.
Shabbos.
Many
They have a
places do that.
Shabbos.
Borough Park in Williamsburg, yes.
1 second. Let's get the sugi. Let's just try and get the
Right,
sugi.
learn learn
Let's
what's
learn it.
going
Let's get the sugi until we discuss it. Right. So basically, who said anything? We just learned the Gemara. Does the Gemara mention anything about allowing a Gatzola guy to come back because he won't go out on the call? The Gemara mentions not a word of it. Tosfos is the one that says that this case is talking about. This case is also Seifon Mishum Tchilas. And how do you know Tosfos is talking about? Because Tosfos asks, how come we don't list this Gemara as one of the fourth case of Hitiru Seifon Mishum Tchilas and in Be'ah? Why doesn't it say this case too? That we allow Hatzalah people to come back because otherwise they won't go out. So clearly Tosfos is learning that part of the heter here is that you're afraid that they're not going to go out. And then Tosfos says, "Oh, if there's any chiddush here, it's not even a chiddush." That's what Tosfos says. It's not even. It's no chiddush. There, we're trying to bring chidushim to allow shchita because of kisei adam, whatever it is. There are chidushim. This is not a chiddush. Avada, we're going to let a guy come back. Otherwise, he's not going to go on the call. But he says, "V'chol hanu tzrichi kedamrin on hasam." Right, the other ones, you need it. You need 3 cases. You need to say the chiddush. Right? What are you saying?
I'm sorry, didn't it say in the other Gemara that because you'll need them again, not because they'll go or not. A midwife,
Correct.
you'll need her again for another lady.
Right, exactly. No, 1 second, it doesn't say that. The Gemara doesn't say anything about
that. I'm sorry.
No, the Gemara just says about the soldiers coming
I'm
back.
talking about it, not our Gemara. The Gemara.
He's talking about the other Gemara.
Yes, so that's right. Enochanami. So good. So now, very good. So now, in Ramesh's tshuva, okay, he starts off with a few basic scenarios, which is seemingly pretty pashut that they can come back. One is that if you have one ambulance, or you only have a few Hatzalah guys, and they need to come back to town because otherwise you won't have Hatzalah guys. So Ramosha says that's pashut that they can come back. Right? That's pashut. Shaila is if you have enough people that are back there, and you're not going to need the ambulance, and you're not going to need these guys, can they come back or not? Right? So Ramosha Paskins, and it's based on the tshuva of the Chassam Sofer, all based on that Tosfos, that we allow Seifon B'Shum Tchilasan. Right? That's step number 1, based on that Tosfos. But where there's a big point of contention is, do we allow them to be over on an Issa Dairaisa to do this? Are they allowed to do an Issa Dairaisa to come back? Meaning, yes, we allow Hitiru Seifon B'Shum Tchilasan, right? Is that enough of a heter to allow an Issa Dairaisa or not? Okay? Now, L'choira, the Gemara here is talking about a Derabanan because it's not a Rishus HaRabim, Pashtus. Pashtus is not a Rishus HaRabim. Right? That's one of the Tzadim. So the Gemara seemingly says that it's only a Derabanan. The Magen Avram says we will only allow Seifon Mishum Tchilasan for an Issa Derabanan, not an Issa Daraisa. Driving a car is an Issa Daraisa. Right? So Ramosha, still he paskins that you could be over on an Issa Daraisa, Hitiru Seifon Mishum Tchilasan. Rav Vosner seems to also agree with Ramosha. Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, in a famous thing, he wrote a tshuva against Ramosha, but he writes it's kedai this whole sugya just to hear to Rav Shlomo Zalman writes. I looked at it last night. I don't remember his exact lashon, but he said, "I asked Ramosha Feinstein permission if I could print the tshuva where I disagree with him, and when he gave me permission that I could print the tshuva, then I printed the tshuva where I disagree with his psak." Yeah, it's a fact. It's a givaldik, and it's not like there was that big an age gap between Shlomo Zalman and Ramosha, right? But that's what he said. Until Ramosha gave him permission, he would not print the tshuva neged Ramosha. But Lamaisa in his tshuva, he says the Rabbanans, the Raisas you cannot do.
Rav Tziyakov, does Ramosha agree that, or does Ramosha speak about trying to avoid this with the Raisas?
Yes, very good.
Meaning, why do all these atzalas? Why don't they do like the person brought up before? Why are they not having Goyim drive the cars back or drive them back?
Yes, that is the problem. Is in the tshuva, Ramosha writes it very beferish that he says, assuming you have no choice, then you could the Katzola guys could drive. If you have a choice, he says it straight. If you have another option, you cannot drive home.
What's pshat?
I don't know. I will leave that to the olam.
Meaning, who's posketing for these hatzalas that do that?
Mike, you want to know where Williamsburg? I don't know what Williamsburg's rules are, but that's
Lakewood.
where Lakewood gets it
Lakewood
from.
also.
They
What are
hired.
they gonna do?
Goyim.
Every time they go, they're gonna start looking for somebody to drive them.
They do that. Yes, every single
Yes,
time.
they hire non.
They do this every time.
They
Well,
have
if
a
you have
family
them
in Lakewood. In Lakewood, they have a family that has Hatzalah radios. They got a bunch of cars.
They get dispatched the same way.
They go, they follow to the call, and then the family, they go with a bunch of drivers, and each one hops in the Hatzalah guy's cars, drives them all home.
One
That's
thing,
the way.
I thought you said that even sitting in a car could be a daraisa.
No, that's a Amir La'akum. It's a.
No,
it's
you said because the car is using more gas.
Yeah, but that's already debatable. That's already debatable. But it's innocent.
Tiago, you remember we were in Lakewood and then the family came to pick up that seller guy. The guy goes, "Hey, do me a favor. There's $20 in my glove compartment. I need more gas."
Yeah. Okay, but that could be mutter. The guy needed gas.
I'm just saying he didn't have any gas before he had the guy do it.
Yeah. But whatever.
They all have radios. They answer the call. They're not rushing through lights, but they come afterwards. They know where everybody lives. They bring their cars home, and then on the way home, the Hatzalah ambulance drops off the members.
Right. So without a doubt, again, let's get it straight. Nobody holds that a guy should be driving to a call. Nobody holds that. It's only from the call, right? So Ramosha writes it in the tshuva. If anybody has that All Daf app, there is somebody on there that put on, I don't know who it was, put on the tshuvas. He put Ramosha's tshuvas on there, and he has Rav Shlomo Zalman's tshuva on there. I don't remember if he has a Rav Vosner's tshuva. It's a small print, but he has the tshuvas there, and it's there. You could see it yourself. Ramosha says if you don't have a choice.
So then, what's the head to the? What you see them driving back
because they. I think in the. I have no idea.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying. I mean,
I think
it's got to be a tremendous financial achrayas, though. You're paying for the ambulance. You're paying for insurance. You're paying for trainings. You're paying for all this stuff, and on top of that, you got to hire goyim.
Okay, but it's lamaisa.
That's for Chil Shabbos.
There's an achrayas to be Machal Shabbos also. What does that mean?
Right. We spend any money. You have to spend.
It's a serious religion.
Yeah. No, I'm saying you mechuyev to lose every dollar in order not to be over an Isser, and to drive a car on Shabbos is hundreds of thousands of Yisur Deraisa. Hundreds of thousands, right? Because you're making thousands of sparks every time you drive, whatever it is. But the point is, the way I understand that Hatzalah, it happened, but I have no idea what I'm talking about, is that when Hatzalah started 30, 40 years ago, right? We didn't have the wherewithal. We just didn't have the wherewithal with the radios and the whole system set up. So then it was taka very difficult. Or I don't even know if they thought they would even have an option, right? I'm still not sure if Farakoi has an option easier to find, a family. Lakewood, at the end of the day, Lakewood, when they started this, was a small town, and it was much more Hamish. Where are you getting a whole Goyish family, enough guys that you trust them to be driving around cars? Right, so I think it was just very difficult back then, and now we're just piggybacking on the original psak.
You're also going to have the one Hatzalah guy who told me that one time he was coming back from a call, and he was running to get another call. He didn't have his car, and there was a call on that block.
Okay, Nushan, what should I tell you? There's how many Hatzalah guys locally land out?
Locally, 160.
I think that's enough, guys. I think that's quite enough, guys, to go around.
It's much bigger than it used to be 5 years ago. But anyway, then you could go to the other side. There was a guy that was in a car with one of these ex-cops that drives on Shabbos, and he says he used to love his grandmother's cooking on Shabbos, and they realized he was Jewish.
Okay, no shine. I'm saying that. Yeah, there's always a risk of that.
So is it better to get an electric car if you're in Hatzalah?
So we were discussing it last night when I once gave a share in Phoenix by Ikovik's, by Elio's mother's yahrzeit. So I brought it up, and then a guy told me, no, it would make sparks anyways, electric car. I have no idea if that's true. I would think that an electric car is less. I would think so.
What do you mean? There's so many more sensors on an electric car.
Yeah, but all those sensors are not sparks. That's not fire. In a car, it's fire.
It's all battery, right? It's all batteries.
I have no idea. Whatever it is, okay. I just want to make sure. The main thing is the hak. We yoytze with the hak.
It's in the Daf companion on all Daf.
The Daf companion.
Yeah, there's he brings down Rav Moshe's tshuva.
Okay. Does he bring the
Kalik Dalidson and Pei?
The mistake you're doing is you're reading the tshuva. You're not supposed to do that. You're confusing us
I'm,
with the
I'm not in
facts.
Hatzalah. I'm not in Hatzalah. It's not a problem for me.
There you go. No, again, let's
There's
just
no
get it
Hatzalah in
straight.
Boca.
Again, let's just get it.
There's no Hatzalah here. Yeah.
The hak is good to hak. It's geschmack to hak the lamai. But the bottom line is to understand the sugya. What it is that the Gemara is not mashma that this has anything to do with seifa and mishum tchilasan, right? The Gemara is just talking about somebody that gets out of the techum. Tosfos brings it up. The shailas, and so that's one. So Tosfos says this whole sugya is seifa mishum tchilasan. It's not mashma like that in the Gemara. And the Gemara maybe is mashma that it's the Rabbanons, not the Rises, that you allow a guy to come back. He can be over on the Rabbanons, not the Rises, right? Techum is also the Rabbanon.
Right? Tiaka, what about doctors? How do doctors fit into all this?
So that's a problem. That's a problem. I've heard by Moshe Tendler and others. The joke is that the doctor drives to the hospital with the heter of Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Then he switches post-committee, drives back with the heter of Moshe Feinstein. So you have to do that switch in the hospital. Because Rav Shlomo Zalman permits people on Shabbos to drive to a hospital for an urgent situation, etc. He just does not allow you to drive back. Rav Moshe wants you to sleep in the hospital if you can, but from an emergency, he allows you to drive back. So anyway, that's the joke. Don't worry if you don't get it.
Yeah, okay.
What about rounds? What about not emergency? Just round. Somebody has
the other problem.
Yeah, nobody's going to be matter.
When my father was in the hospital in Muncie, the doctor was taking care of him, was a Shomer Shabbos fellow, and he used to and he told me he drives to the hospital on Shabbos. Every Shabbos if he wants. He drives to the hospital.
Drives?
Yeah.
And that's a major problem.
Yeah, that's a big cooler. That's a big cooler.
He looked very religious. He said he got it.
Oh, okay, then it's okay. But the thing is that it's a big problem because also he's getting paid to go. And number two, if he doesn't do it, he's going to get sanctioned. So those are different incentives. And a Hatzalah guy is completely volunteer.
Right.
If a doctor doesn't go, he's in big trouble. He can lose his license even.
Okay, but so you know what? That's still not going to be matter of Chil Shabbos. Yeah,
I'm saying the opposite for Kert. These are things that argue against him saying have these heterim, because he doesn't have the problem of Moshe's talking about a situation where if you don't allow these volunteers to go, they may not want to go. If you say to this doctor,
you're saying the doctor has to go because otherwise, if he doesn't go, he's going to be sanctioned.
Right, so he has to get a cab because he doesn't have the heter because he's facing major problems. So he doesn't have the incentive. He doesn't have the problem of a volunteer guy says the guy don't want to go. This doctor says I better go. So he doesn't have the same heter according to some people.
Yeah. No, that's what it is. Most places will not allow a guy. They do allow doctors to go to and from the hospital, but the Rabbanans on a train or be driven in a cab. Because that's Amir Lakum. It's Amir Lakum. It's not too bad. Okay, we got to go back.
I can tell you here there are a lot of doctors that are driving to and from the hospital on Shabbos.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, it's schwer. It's schwer, which I tell you, it's schwer.
I'll find out what they're using from a heter perspective.
It's basically this the emergency and their emergency and the necessary. And
just for rounds, not for like they're on call, whatever it is, like that they have to go.
I've discussed this with many post-game. This is a huge problem. Anybody who does this, I guess best not to tell them, but it's a huge problem, and that's all I can say as a doctor. It's a huge problem. We might as well go on.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's not pushing.
Tzviaka, I should tell you, I heard Rabbi Rosner say over that B'Shem Shlomo Zalman Auerbach that he would be makbid to tell the Hasidim or the Yerushalmis to wear their streimels when on a call because they were embarrassed. He said, "No, Adarabba, it's a mitzvah, and you should wear your streimels."
Taka.
Be proud. Right. You're saving a life.
That's a load. That's a load on a head to keep when you're running to do a call. Save somebody. You got to keep your streimel on your head.
I'm telling you what I heard.
No, I hear. That's interesting. Okay.
I asked Moshe Sternbach the same question. I said, if you're driving on Shabbos as a doctor, should you go incognito or like for example, I don't have MD plates. He said, for Kert, you should make sure that people know you're a doctor. You shouldn't, it's nothing, and otherwise a person could see you and think, oh, he's trying to fool something, so you have to make sure that people realize you're an MD and you're going for that reason.
I hear. Okay.
Or if you have your mechanic driving your truck.
Yeah.
Make sure he wears the yarmulke, because nobody knows who Ty is.
See me after class.
There you go. Okay, let's see weiter. So I'm going to review them Rav. Yeah. So Nachrim, you have it. It's about 10 lines down, 10 wide lines down. So I'm going to review them Rav. Nachrim shetzaru ala yoris Yisrael. So if you have goyim, try this one out. How about this Gemara right here? Nachrim that are siege, right? A siege. How do you call it? Tzaru yeah, it's a siege, right? Ala yoris Yisrael. So they put it under siege. Ein yotzin aleim b'kli zaynon. They're not allowed to go out to fight them. Ve'ein mechal l'neas Shabbos. You're not allowed to be mechal Shabbos. Tani nami hochi nachrim shetzaru v'chulu. Yeah, so you're not allowed to. Meaning, imagine that their Jewish community is under siege from goyim with guns and everything. No go. You just have to Shabbos. You just have to sit tight. You want to do fighting, you can do it after Shabbos. But that's only if they're coming for finances. But if they're coming, they're looking to kill. They're not just looking to take your money. Then you can go out with Kli Zaynon Mechal and Alein Shabbos. And you Mechal Shabbos. And a city that's close to the border, even if they're not coming on this even if it's just for they're trying to steal your how do you call it? Teven v'kash, your grain and stuff and straw. Then you are allowed to go out with Kli Zaynon and Mechal Shabbos. Fine. Some of Yosef Amenyuma, Rav Nachman uvachol ubavel. I'm sorry, Kiir hasmucha l'saber dami. Bavel is considered a border city. The Targum and Arda, and that is Narda. What he means is Narda. Yeah? Fine. So then the Gemara says, now we got a few lines of a guy.
This is so Chutz La'aretz has the same din as Eretz Yisrael. If they're coming to fight you, you got to fight.
Yeah, right, exactly. Good point. Right, thank you. Yes, that's right. It's not a din in Eretz Yisrael. It's a din. Although I think the Mesifta Gemara here, if anybody has a Mesifta Gemara, I think it starts talking about the Eretz Yisrael thing, and he brings all the Satmar Rebbe's shitas on whether you could fight for Eretz Yisrael, not fight, what the deal is with all that. But we did enough controversy for one night, right?
So man, okay. You can ignore me if this is too whatever. But so is this where we get the halachas of carrying guns on Shabbos?
Possibly, yeah. If you feel that there's a sakana, so yeah, 100%. Yeah. Okay, so Darash Rav Tustay b'demin Biri. Rav Tustay from Biri Darshan. Right, they came to tell David HaMelech that the Plishtim are attacking them and they're coming to the Granas, to the Goyrin, seems like they're coming for grain. Right? So Tana, Ki'ila ira smucha l'sabra, right? Ki'ila was on the border. And they were only coming for Tevin and Kash, because it says, and they're going and they're attacking the what do you call it? The place where the grain is kept. David asked Hashem, saying, should I go fight with them? Go beat them up, whatever, attack them, and save the city of Keilah. My coming by this, the Gemara says, what was he asking? If he was asking whether it's mutter to do this on Shabbos or not, which, by the way, the pasuk does not mention a word about Shabbos, right? But the Gemara is saying, was David HaMelech asking from the Hashem if it's mutter? They're very interesting din, right? Shmuel, the Bezdin of Shmuel was there. You don't go ask Hashem. Hashem, right? And Rashi says it, right? Does Rashi say it here? No, Rashi is just right. Rashi says the second, three lines up from the Mishnah.
He says you don't ask the Urim V'Turim on Isser V'Heter.
Correct. Umidi the Isser V'Heter like Mishal b'Urim V'Tumim. You imagine you don't ask Hashem for Isser and Heter. That you don't ask. Hashkafa you ask Hashem. What's mutter and also you got to leave to the people in this world. I mean, that's a wild thing. It's unbelievable.
Exactly.
That's true. I'm saying, but it's ad kidei kach that we're going to have.
Somebody should say something to all the people that say Rabbanu Shalom wants us to do this, to do that.
Yeah, very good, Barrett. Very good. Well, that's hashkafa, man.
Tiakov, that's the whole Gemara of Elazar. What do you mean?
You know, hashkafa was you daven with a minion. I guess hashkafa, that's you have a minion or not.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But I'm saying that's what the Gemara is saying. Ad kedei kach. They would say, how could David HaMelech go ask the Urim V'Tumim about halacha? He's got it. That's not who you go with. Ella, it must be that he was asking if there's going to be matzliach or not. Take a nami. Go and save Ki'ila. Shema Mina. That's what David was asking, if he's going to be matzliach or not. But whatever it is, you see that it was bottom line is that you see there was a border town and he was allowed to attack on Shabbos. Right? That's what he was allowed to attack on Shabbos. Fine.
Do we skip the part about the Jews losing or winning the battle? Did we skip that?
No, we did that. We did that.
Is that okay?
It was the second teretz. That was the second teretz.
Fine.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that sugya. Fine. Okay. Misha, let's go invite in the Mishna. It's a little late, but okay, it's not so hard now. Misha Yasha B'derech. Somebody was sitting on the way. Va'amar v'ra harei usamach le'ir. Right. He sat himself down. He was tired, Rashi says, and he didn't know he was within the techum of the city. I guess it was pitch dark, and he sat himself down by Tzeis on Shabbos, and he didn't realize he was in the techum of the city. And then he stood up and he sees that he's close to the city. So since his kavana was not to be part of that city, therefore it's out of his techum, he's not allowed to go there. That's a sheet of Rameir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Yikonis, he's allowed to. So Rabbi Yehuda Maisa Hoyev and Nichnas Reb Tarfon b'lei mischaven. So Rabbi Yehuda says there was a Maisa, and Reb Tarfon went without kavana, right? Meaning Reb Tarfon disagreed. He didn't know that there was a city there, yet he could still go into the city. So Tanya Zok Gemara, Tanya Rabbi Yehuda Maisa Reb Tarfon Shoyim Al B'derech. Reb Tarfon was traveling v'choshkaloi, and it got dark on him v'lon chutz le'ir. And he slept outside the city. In the morning, he saw the what do you call it? The shepherds, right? So they said to him, Rebbe, there's a city. You're within the techum of a city. Go into the city. He went and he sat in the Bismeresh and he darshaned the whole day. So you see clearly that he holds that you're allowed to go in, even that was not his intention on Friday night. So he said, maybe he was talking in his heart that that's what he was going to do. I don't really understand that teretz. What do you mean? It was in his heart to do that, but instead Friday night, he decided to spend Friday night outside the city in a forest or whatever it was, not within a city, but he was only planning on coming in the next day. I don't know what kind of Shabbos is that, but I don't know. Right? No, but the Beis Medrash was within 2,000 amas of Rav Tarfon's techum. So we don't necessarily have a raya, right? It could be that Beis Medrash happened to have been within his techum. The rest of the city might not have been, but the Beis Medrash was. Okay, Zok the Mishnah. Next Mishnah. Misha Yashim B'derech. Somebody decided he's traveling Friday and he went to sleep. And he didn't know that it got dark. So he gets 2,000 amas in every direction, meaning he had no intention of sleeping and being there Friday night. He fell asleep and all of a sudden he woke up and it was already Friday night. So does he get 2,000 amas? Meaning there was no das. There was no das there to be kind of that mokum. That's the sheet of Rabbi Yochanan. Chacham say no, he does not. Since he had no das, since he was sleeping, he does not. It's not considered his makom that he's sleeping, and he does not get 2,000 amas. If with these 4 amas, he's in the middle, meaning he gets a choice. He can go 2 amas in one direction, 2 amas in the other direction. He doesn't have to necessarily just get 4 amas in one direction. He can go whichever direction he wants. But Rabbi Yehuda's minded if he decides to walk 4 amas, let's say to the east, then that's it. He cannot go back and take 4 amas to the other way. You only get a maximum of 4 amas, whichever direction you choose. Then let's say you have 2 guys. Let's say 2 guys made their own, they were stuck outside the city. So each one gets 4 amas, but they're right next to each other. So their middle, they decide, so you got this guy has 4 amas, this guy has 4 amas, right? But the middle 2 amas overlap each other. Right? So again, so he has 2 amas to himself. he has 2 amos to himself, and the middle, they overlap with 2 amos, right? So what they could do is they could have a meal right in the middle where they both overlap. And I went on to have base, but they can't, no doggy bags, right? They could only have their party in the middle. Each one can't bring back the food. They can bring their own food back. They can't swap food to bring it back to their own 2 amos, right? Let's say there were 3 guys, right? One guy had 4 tvachim. This guy has 4 tvachim. And then he had one guy in the middle that had 2 tvachim from each guy, right? So he's like the shadchan between the 2 outer guys. Who mutter imayin? He's mutter with them. Vehein mutar and imay, and they're mutter with him. The 2 outer guys can't, obviously, their 4 amos don't overlap. Some Rav Shimon Lamat over Doime. The shalish chatzeres apsucha zulazu, to the 3 chatzeres that are open to each other, upsucha zulazu, and they're open to each other, meaning you have 3 yards, one after the other, right? And they're open to Rosh Hashanah, and they're also open to each other. Now, the 2 outer guys made an eruv with the middle guy, but the 2 outer guys didn't make eruv with each other. So the 2 outer guys can mix with the middle guy, but the outer guys can't carry to each other's property, right? The mashal, if anybody knows, okay, so you got my mother's house, my house, and the middle guy, right? So let's say I make an eruv with the middle guy, and the middle guy makes an eruv with my mother. But me and my mother did not make an eruv. So I could carry from my property to the middle guy's house. My mother can carry from her house to the middle guy's house, but I cannot carry to my mother's because I never made an eruv with her, right? We each made our own independent eruv with the middle guy, but we never hooked up with each other on the outer ones.
The middle guy can bring it to your mother's house?
Yes, because the middle guy made an eruv.
So why can't you use his eruv?
Can't, because I never made an eruv with my mother.
Right.
But once you're by him, you're his guest.
No, that's a different story. With the guest, that's not. We'll get to the guest in a couple of blocks.
When does that person get their certificate of good citizenship?
Yeah. Right. That's yeah. And if he's on Hatzalah, maybe he can't even get Hana from the whole thing because he spent half the Shabbos away. Right?
And if you met the neighbor, you knew he's not really your guest, or you're not his guest.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what's Amar Rav Shimon Lamad over Doima. The shalish chatzeros, hapsucha zulazu, they're open to each other. Psucha zulazu, and they're open to each other. Irushtayim imam tzoyes. If the 2 made an eruv with the middle guy, he muteres imahen, vehe muteres ima. Right? It's a lashon nekeva. She is mutter with them. They're mutter with her. But shtayim achitzoynes asura zuzu. But the 2 outer ones are not allowed to go to each other because they don't have an eruv. Fine. So boy Rava, Microsoft Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Right? What does Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri hold? That if a guy is sleeping, right, he could, right, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri's shita was that he gets 2,000 amos. Even if a guy falls asleep Friday night, he still gets 2,000 amos because even though he was not conscious, he didn't consciously take that as a place to live, but he gets it anyway. So what's Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri's svara? Because cheftzei hefker kind of shvisa. Cheftzei hefker are kind of shvisa, right? We had this before, right? A guy leaves a shoe. There's a shoe in the middle of the street. Can you just take that shoe? That's a yom tif where there's no issur of carrying. Can you take that shoe and just take it with you more than 2,000 amos? No, you can't. He's saying because hefker is kind of its place for 2,000 amos. Yeah. So hefker kind of shvisa. Well, we didn't to live like bekaler, and the din is that it should. You should have just. And if that's the case, why do you just have a machlokes about utensils? Why do you have to have a machlokes about people? This that we're disagreeing by people to tell you the koyach of the rabbanon damagav the ika the meimar hoyel veneer kana yashanami kana. Since you could say that since if he was up he would get 2,000 amos because he was well aware. So yashanami kana. So if he's sleeping, it'd also be kind of kamash mulan delay. That the kamash mulan that it's not. Idilma kasavar Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri ba'alma cheftzei hefker ain't kind of shvisa. That cheftzei hefker are not kind of shvisa. V'hacha hainu taima hoyel veneer kana. Yashanami kind of, since if a guy's up, he's kind of, so sleeping is also kind of fine. So that's the shiloh. So Amar Rav Yosef Tashamak Shamim Sheyardim Erevyantu. This is another big hack. This is whether water and snow become muksa. We'll start it a little bit and then we'll stop, and then tomorrow Be'ez Hashem we'll continue the whole sugi. Amar Rav Yosef Tashamak Shamim Sheyardim Erevyantu. Let's say rain fell down on Erevyantu. Yeshan Afayim Abel Chol Ruach. Right, the rain falls into a bucket. right? In the middle of the street. Can you take that rain? So we say, yes, you can, right? Be Yom Tiv, but if the rain falls on Yom Tiv, Harain Karagli Kol Adam, then it's Hefker, and you can take that water wherever it is that you want to take it. Again, if the rain falls on Erev Yom Tiv into a bucket, you can only take that rainwater 2,000 amos from the place where the bucket was. If it falls on Yom Tiv, then it goes with whoever decides to be kind of that water before Yom Tov.
Why could you use that? Water isn't a nolad?
That'll be tomorrow. We'll discuss it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Bishlama Kasav Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Cheftzei Hefker Koinen Shvisa. The Cheftzei Hefker are Koinen Shvisa. How many Rabbi Yochanan? That's Rabbi Yochanan. Ella, meaning that it's kind of its own shvisa, the water. So that's why if it rained on Friday on Erev Yom Tiv, so then it gets 2,000 amos. Eli Yam Cheftzei Hefker ain't kind of shvisa. Then if they're not kind of shvisa, how many lo Rabbi Yochanan lo Rabbanan? It's not Rabbi Yochanan, not Rabbanan. Yeah. So Yosef Abayva, Karmel lo Shmaitza, Amar le Rasav Abayva, Dilma Biksham Hasmuchin leir Askina. We're talking about rain that fell close to the city. When the people from the city had their das on it, and that's why it could only go 2,000 amos. Okay, let's just finish with the 2 dots. But so right, that's the das of the city, people of the city said, oh, the rain that's going to come is going to become ours. That's why it gets 2,000 amos. Don't think that. A bar of a yachid, meaning a guy has a bar full of water. That's like the feet of the yachid. Wherever the yachid could go, that's where the water from the bar could go. If it's a bar that belongs to the people from that city, it goes like the feet of the people of that city. Those that go up to Bavel, it's whoever fills it up. That's where it could be taken. The Tanya bar shel shvatim, the bar of the shvatim, yeshan afayim amal choruach, gets 2,000 amos in every direction. Kasha nadadi, when all these are a kasha on each other. Meaning, the water from this bar goes to who? Who does it go to? The guy who fills it up, the shvatim, oile bavel. So elalav shmamina harav yochanan benuri harabanon. No, we're going to answer the stira. One's Rabbi Yochanan benuri, one's Rabbanon. Fine. When they came in front of Rabbi Yosef, Amalei hachi kamar of Safra. This is what Rav Safra said, and this is what I answered him. Why don't you say from the price itself? If you think that we're talking about rain that's close to the city, why are you saying that it gets 2,000 amos? If it should have just said that the water gets to go as far as the people can from the city, not 2,000 amos. Elamai, it's not talking about the city. It's talking about stam, a bucket of water anywhere. Okay. Sorry,
why doesn't it talk about Shabbos? What did you say?
What do you mean Shabbos?
The rain. It talks about Yom Tov, not Shabbos.
That's because how you carrying the rain. It's just a technical point. So how you carrying the rain? The assumption is this is on the outside of the city. There's no eruv. That's all. So Yom Tov, you could carry it. But Shabbos, you would not be able to carry it.
It has nothing to do with muksa.
No, the muksa shaila is going to be the same Yom Tov and Shabbos. We'll see that tomorrow, B'ezras Hashem. It's very overrated. The Olam thinks that snow is automatic muksa, and it's really not. Snow that fell on Erev Yom Tov, Erev Shabbos is for sure not muksa. And even if it fell on Shabbos and Yom Tov, right, it's a big machlokes whether it's muksa.
I wrote myself a note last time that we said I said maybe Mashiach can't come on Shabbos because maybe the clouds are muksa. He can't come through the clouds. But I wrote that over here.
Very good. You're trying to mix the two sugyas.
Yeah.
I hear.
I just wanted to add that I discussed this aspect of going back with Etzal, etc. And even with doctors, and there's a major posek who's matir all of this. He said he had major concerns that if we don't be matir it, there are people who would hesitate. It just so happens that a short while later, I had a relative in the hospital. I myself hesitated, even though I was arguing against this posek. I saw it myself, my own psychological, that for whatever reason, I guess in our generation, a lot of people would hesitate to go in because I got to get back, etc. So, but there's a major poskim. What are the poskim adore? So anybody's in that cell over there, you should not feel. There's a very big shoulders you can rely on, and they're not mine.
Okay, all right. Fine, I gotta go down with my eruv. Have a good one, everybody. I hope it wasn't too long tonight, but yeah.
So according to the Hatzalah guys who are Mekel, even if it was like a half an hour before Matzah Shabbos, they would be allowed to come back.
Yes. Are you recording, Parrots? Are you recording?